Welcome back to the Biblical Conservative channel. I'm your host, Sean Crenshaw. I appreciate all the likes and subscribe thus far. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button, hit that bell so you get the notifications when I drop a video. And also sign up for memberships and super chats and those things, trying to make sure we get as much information out there to the people so they'll know that they're not victims, that they are empowered for greatness. So today we're going to continue talking about how the Democrats are pushing a culture of death in the Black community and how they're using identity politics to do that. So if you haven't heard, there was going to be a recommendation from the FDA, Joe Biden's FDA, to ban menthol cigarettes. And for those of you who don't know, menthol is that cooling sensation. I'm not a smoker. I haven't smoked a cigarette before in my life, but I know a lot of folks that do. I know a lot of people that like to smoke menthols. They like to smoke Newports. They like to smoke the menthols and the Marlboros and those kind of things, the ones that come in the green little packaging, right? So the Biden administration was going to ban that because naturally cigarettes are not good for your health. Naturally, cigarettes kill a lot of Black people because big tobacco markets cigarettes to Black people with the menthol, because menthol is flavorful and Black people like the flavor when they're smoking their cigarettes, right? But you have these activists that say you can't ban menthol. That's racist. So let me get this straight. Banning a substance that leads to death in the Black community is racist. Okay. That's why I want you to understand. These activists do not care about Black people. They say, oh, if you ban menthol, it's going to lead to more and more interactions with the police and lead to situations that's happened with Eric Garner and George Floyd. Are you serious about that? Look at this particular article here that walks you through that. Check this article out here, right? Just look at this. Just take a look. Look at this thing. So it says, it talks about how this person in Ohio created menthol. Advocacy groups are applying renewed pressure on the Biden administration to institute a nationwide ban. The predatory marketing of menthol cigarettes and other flavored tobacco products must be stopped. And we should all recognize this as a social justice issue. Wow. So it's a social justice issue from the NAACP to ban menthol, and one that disproportionately impacts youth and communities of color. But then you have this article says, it's not surprising that health groups want menthol cigarettes taken off the market. The more interesting subject is how the public health case against menthol collides with concerns about policing in Black communities. There you go. So because Black folks smoke menthol, and if you ban menthol, then it's going to be illegal. So they're making the assumption that Black folks are criminal. They're going to have possession of menthol, and it's going to lead to more and more interactions with law enforcement. The question has divided civil liberties and civil rights groups, with organizations including the American Civil Liberties, the ACLU, Law Enforcement Action Partnership, and Al Sharpton's National Action Network, voicing opposition to menthol. These people, these people, I tell you, these folks, they really are so much in the bag with promoting dysfunction in the Black community. Why not say, hey, community, hey, brothers, stop smoking this menthol. Hey, brothers, take responsibility for your actions. Like, stop laying around with all these women and producing babies that you have no desire or no interest to father or parent. How about taking that tack? Instead, no, you can't ban menthol. You're going to increase interactions that are negative between the police and the Black community because of cigarettes. And this thing is nationwide. I mean, here's this case here in New York. Another case, same thing, same type of response from these folks. Black activists spar over proposed New York City menthol cigarette ban. Proposed ban in New York City on menthol cigarettes led to two opposing groups of advocates debating the potential effects on the Black community. The proposal of further city and state bans on the sale of menthol cigarettes has created an unexpected conflict between groups of Black activists, the Black activists, visibly seen on Thursday afternoon and doing protests for and against the bans. These people are actually, they're against banning something that negatively, think about this. I want everybody to listen and think about this for a second. You have people that are actually protesting the banning of something that negatively affects the Black community. There is no redeeming quality to menthol cigarettes. None. There's no redeeming quality to smoking cigarettes. I know the propaganda has been pushed in the Black community to make it look cool to smoke cigarettes. I get that. That's been pushed for a long, long time. And menthol cigarettes and Newports are the main ones that do it. But the fact that you have these Black activists out here campaigning to not ban something that negatively impacts the Black community is appalling to me. But it's not surprising, because liberals, communists, Marxists want to promote things that lead to the destruction and detriment of the Black community. That's why I call it creating a culture of death. There's a culture of death in the Black community. The simple fact that over 20 million babies have been aborted in the Black community, 20 million Black babies have been aborted, but yet majority of Black people and Black pastors support Planned Parenthood is so appalling and disturbing and disgusting to me. But yet they would justify it by saying it would increase hypothetically negative interaction with law enforcement. Okay, so you're telling me for the one-off cases of Eric Garner and George Floyd, for their one-off cases, you're going to allow a substance to continue to be sold in the Black community that can kill nearly 100 times more people. Just because what happened to Eric Garner and George Floyd is not even related to this. What happened to Eric Garner with the cigarettes, respectful of police, who was resisting police in exchange for 50,000 people. But that's not surprising. They already exchanged the lives of 20 million or so Black babies for political power. But that shows you how the Black community is so indebted to a progressive Marxist ideology and for the advancement of debauchery in the community that they don't even see the hypocrisy of that. And they say that Black Lives Matter. These are the same people that will march and tell you that Black Lives Matter, but yet Black lives don't matter because you care more about people smoking menthol than you do people dying of lung cancer. That is absurd. And I even have to agree with Roland Martin on this, which is surprising to me. I normally don't agree with Roland Martin, but in this particular case, I actually agree with Roland when he speaks about this whole situation. Let's play what Roland has to say about this deal.
Cigarettes. Folks have been waiting all year for that to happen. Now the administration has announced that they are going to delay this until March of 2024. What that now means is that many people believe that they likely are not going to touch this issue at all in an election year. And in fact, that was one of the issues that was actually raised by civil rights groups as to why Biden should not act on this. This is a story here. This is from ABC News right here. Go to my iPad. Is civil rights groups fought the ban, saying it would target Black smokers. Now, here's the deal. The ban would have...
Look at that. Look at that. In the media, the Biden administration is caving to civil rights groups. How are you fighting for somebody's civil rights when you're supporting something that will lead to more and more deaths in the Black community? It would target black smokers. Instead of saying, hey, black people, stop smoking. Do what's good for you. Eat right. Exercise. Get off the alcohol. Stop going to the liquor store. Nah, man, we can't ban these menthol cigarettes. That's racist.
Actually targeted the manufacturing of menthol cigarettes. But what Big Tobacco did, there was an aggressive push by civil rights groups, again, sponsored by Big Tobacco, who said it was going to unfairly target black people. You had the black farmers and John Boyd out there saying this is an awful idea. This article here lays out that you had folks with Noble, the ACLU, even Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network, saying that this could harm black voters. And here's what the story says right here. It says, in private phone calls, civil rights groups, including the ACLU, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, or NOBLE, and Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network, warned the White House against the plan, with some officials suggesting that a regulatory crackdown could harm Joe Biden's reelection chances with black voters.
So, in other words, hey, President Biden, if you don't let these black folks smoke these menthol cigarettes, you're going to lose their vote. You're going to use the black man vote. You're going to lose that black man vote. They'll let these black folks smoke their cigarettes and die. More people are going to die that you may want to vote for you. They're going to die before they get a chance to vote for you in November. Well, I tell you, man, sometimes, and these people call themselves ministers of the gospel and call themselves doing stuff for the black community. It's all political, man. It's all political power. Like I've been saying over and over and over again on this channel, black leaders, quote unquote, black clergy, black pastors, quote unquote, have exchanged the truth of the gospel for political power. And this is a prime example.
Okay, so that was the argument that was being made. Now, understand, folks, the same article says this right here, that the delay is a major defeat for health advocates who have been pushing for years to limit access to menthol cigarettes, which are aggressively marketed in black communities. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, menthol can enhance the addictive effects of cigarettes and make it harder to quit. 45,000 black people die annually as a result of cigarette smoking. 45,000. Let me just remind people, there are more black people who die annually than smoking that represented the margin of Biden's victory in Georgia and Arizona. Why am I framing it like that? Because, frankly, I'm not buying any of this shit from any of these civil rights groups. And let me be perfectly clear. I work with the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. I hate cigarettes. I'm allergic to smoke. It gets in my system, it literally shuts.
And see, there you go. 45,000 black people die annually from cigarettes. And menthol makes them more addictive. But yet you have Al Sharpton and these other so-called civil rights groups out here actively campaigning to keep an addictive substance, a substance that leads to more and more death in the black community, alive. Legal. Let that sink in. I really want that to sink in, because that lets you know these people are not fighting for you. These people are out for themselves. These people are out fighting for the folks that line their pockets. Understand that these so-called black leaders and black organizations, they're fighting for the people that line their pockets. It's all about the dollars. It's not about the community, because if it was about the community, they would do things that uplift the community. If it was all about black achievement and black advancement, they will support things that lead to more and more black advancement and black life. If it was all about Black Lives Matter, they will support things that lead to more and more Black Lives Mattering. But it's not, because they promote a culture of death. The black bougie elite love being the only ones in the room. That is privilege. They don't want to give that privilege up. If more and more black people advance, that's less opportunity for them to be on a pedestal in the eyes of their white liberal handlers. So they have to continue to promote things that their white liberal handlers want them to promote because it keeps division, that keeps stoking anger and resentment and hostility in the black community. It keeps black people tame, that keeps them in their place, that keeps them in a permanent serfdom. That's what it's all about. And I know people don't want to hear it because they like smoking their cigarettes. They like their vices. They like doing those things. But that leads to continued destruction, a continued degeneracy in the community. It does. And I say all the time, we're not victims. We are empowered for greatness. But this promotes victimhood. This promotes the victim mentality. Because what happens is you go out and you smoke these cigarettes, you smoke these menthol cigarettes, and most of the time people smoking these menthol cigarettes are not doing much at all in the community. They either don't have a job, they're lazy, they have about 2 or 3 children, speaking from a male perspective, they have about 2 or 3 baby mamas, 2 or 3 children, and all they do is smoke, and all they do is drink. They don't do anything else. That's all they do. They are experts. They have an advanced degree in smoking and drinking and shooting and robbing and thieving and thuggery. I'm just keeping it real. They do. And so therefore, the Biden administration and the black activists and the fake leaders in the community, instead of addressing that, instead of saying, nah, man, we got to clean this up. We're better than this. Our foreparents didn't fight and die and stand firm in the midst of true segregation, in the midst of true hostility, for us to be on the street corner smoking menthol cigarettes and doing nothing with our lives. But nah, man, that does not benefit them. It benefits them to keep projecting an image in the black community that black folks are children. They can't think for themselves. They're animals. And so therefore you need us. You need us. We are the leaders. You need us to tame them. You need us to keep them in check. And so the Biden administration, wanting to keep black votes, wanting to keep the black male vote, caved and said, we'll take it up next year. No, they won't take it up. It's an election year. They're not going to address this. It's going to be something that if they do take care of, it'll be something that happens in the future. Because too many black activists, too many of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party like this. They want to fight and resist this ban. They do. They call it racist. But yet, I thought, see, this is so hypocritical by the liberals. Why are you in the convenience store with that man? The convenience store is not big enough for the cashier and that black man buying his menthol cigarettes. So why do you want to handle that? Why do you want to ban that, Joe Biden? Why do you want to ban that? See, Joe Biden is caught up in his own conniption, man. He's caught up in his own conundrum, if you will. Joe Biden is caught up in that conundrum. The liberals are caught up in that conundrum. They want to ban it because they understand how detrimental it is to the health of the black community. But yet, because they're so for reproductive justice, they can't ban it. It's hilarious. It is truly hilarious to see how liberals tie themselves in knots because they think they are God. They think they can tell people how to live their best life. Only God can tell people how to live their best life because he sees the end from the beginning. He is the Alpha and the Omega.
Hey, I want to say, if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button and click subscribe so we can get this message out to as many people as we can to let them know that they're not victims, they are empowered for greatness.